Welcome to SlashBack Cinema, the podcast where we rewind to the glory days of 70s and 80s horror movies. Although today we got a special movie. This movie came out in, was it?
Yeah, 2015. We're breaking our rules, people.
I am Shanny Luft.
And I'm Ryan Drymiller.
We miss those iconic classic and cheesy horror films from our childhood, from slashers to the supernatural. So we're here to rewatch the classics that made us scream or maybe cringe a little, find out whether they still pack a punch or just make us laugh. This time, however, we are breaking format. So this time we picked a more recent movie. It is 10 years old at this point, but still definitely far from the 80s classics. But we couldn't resist. And what's the movie we're watching today?
We're going to watch Krampus from 2015. This was directed by Michael Dougherty and stars Adam Scott and Toni Collette.
Yes, Ryan and I have always had a soft spot for Krampus and Belsnickel, all these German Christmas monsters. And so when we thought about doing a collection of Christmas horror movies, it was hard to turn down a movie like this. But I'd never seen it before, so I was really curious what Krampus was going to be about.
Yeah, same. And you're right. We do love Krampus. This demon from Austrian Germanic folklore that instead of bringing you gifts comes and shows up with sticks to beat the naughty children.
Right.
And represents the darker half of St. Nicholas. It's an interesting concept.
This seems like a good time to let people know that if you are trying to buy holiday gifts, Christmas, Hanukkah, you know, when you're trying to buy that perfect gift for the person that has everything, well, we here at SlashBack Cinema are here to help you out because we definitely know something they don't have, and that is SlashBack Cinema merch. Ryan, tell the good people what kinds of merch they could get this year for their loved ones.
Exclusive items like the I Survived SlashBack Cinema Snuggie blanket. This is a blanket you put on. It's got a hood and an incredible design on it. We've got mugs, we've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we got all the swag that you might need. You can find the link on slashbackcinema.com at the top. Click on that. I'll take you there, and you can buy the perfect gift for all of your horror-loving loved ones.
Go check it out, support the pod, and as always, drop us a line, let us know what you think about this episode. I'd also love that you mentioned in the last episode that there's a new way for people to reach out to us. I'd love it if people dropped us a line by going into the notes on the podcast where they can just click and send us a message directly and suggest other movies that we watch.
Yeah, and some folks have reached out and made some suggestions, but if you've got one, send it to us. We'll bring it into the docket. There's plenty out there, and those obscure ones or ones that are more mainstream, let us know. We'll add them to the list.
All right, let's get to it. Krampus, 2015. I saw that the Wikipedia entry called it a Christmas black comedy folk horror film, and I thought those are 6 great words. I love everything about that. And I got to tell you, the opening scene of this movie I thought was perfect.
I loved it too. The way it was shot, it was essentially the Black Friday masses rushing into stores, beating the crap out of each other. But it was shot in such a cinematic way with the people punching each other out, dragging the gifts. Really, really funny.
And then it's got the Bing Crosby. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas playing.
Yes.
So there's like this kind of cheerful sound while people are punching each other in the face to get the last piece of plastic crap. That opening scene is amazing.
And then it closes with, you come later to find out that it's their son Max beating the crap out of someone on stage dressed in this holiday outfit. Spot on, super funny and fun. Yeah. And I'm ready for it.
All right. What is the plot of this movie? How would you summarize it?
Yeah. So this dysfunctional family is prepping for the Christmas season, and they're hosting the wife's extended family, which is this whole group of rough and tumble rednecky folks. The young boy, he gets disillusioned with the whole scene. He had written this letter to Santa. He gets really upset, rips it up, and throws it out the window, which then gets sucked up into this vortex and then goes on to summon, instead of Santa Claus, this demon of Christmas, Krampus. And he's intent on punishing the non-believers who have lost their Christmas spirit. And then it's him and his minions wreaking havoc on the town and this family in particular.
The idea of Krampus is basically he's the dark side of Santa Claus. So whereas Santa brings kids gifts, Krampus and Belsnickel, they would leave a switch, like a whip to or a stick to hit a kid with. Krampus might come to your house, taken your kid and stuck him in a sack and then stolen him away. It's like the carrot and the stick, right? Santa is the carrot. And then Krampus is the stick. And you got 2 different tools to get your kid to behave and be a good boy or girl.
Yeah, in America, the worst that can happen to you is you'll get coal in your stocking. But in Germany, you get an ancient demon that comes and beats you with sticks or puts you in a bag and hauls you away. So, maybe there was more compliance on that side of the pond.
So, like I said, I thought this movie was great from the opening. I really like the cast of this movie. I feel like this movie is full of actors that if we said their names, you're not gonna immediately know who we mean, but you have seen almost all of the actors in this movie before. Adam Scott, I think he's probably the most famous. He's from Parks and Rec.
Severance, yeah.
He plays the dad, and he's great. He's a great everyman. Who doesn't want Adam Scott to be their dad? And Toni Collette is his wife. I feel like everyone in the cast, Conchata Ferrell, when you see it, you will definitely know who they are. Yeah. And the characters are great. All of them have such funny things to say. I feel like the movie does a great job. So many good
one-liners. Yeah.
Yes. The movie does a great job of capturing that experience at any holiday gathering where you now have to interact with your cousins that you find really obnoxious or annoying, or their pets, or you're a kid and you sense the tension between these adults who don't really get along and like each other. They only interact with each other during the holiday season.
And who doesn't make a ham at Christmas? What are you now, a Jew?
Maybe it's time for dessert.
It's delicious, honey.
It's a little dry.
Okay. Well, mine's delicious.
Yeah, the movie is just full of these great moments of tense family interactions. If you like uncomfortable comedy like The Office, the first half hour of this movie, I was laughing out loud multiple times.
In that first half of the movie, or before they're getting going and they're setting it up with the extended relatives coming, it is right in the same space as Christmas Vacation, which I love and we watch every year for the holidays, with the extended family coming in, the chaos that and they even down to the dog that they bring with this dopey dog is leaning into some of the Christmas movies from the past, nod to these cultural aspects around holiday traditions or films that have been celebrated around the holidays.
There's also, am I crazy? I felt like there were some scenes in the movie where tonally, it felt a little Gremlins-y, right? Because
totally.
It's like Christmas horror plus comedy.
Totally. We were saying that after watching Gremlins, that this kind of horror comedy space is kind of our favorite. And this movie had all of that. And it also had the actual practical effects, and not much. I'm sure some of that snow and the blizzard stuff was CGI, but the actual creatures were puppets and built by Weta Studios.
Oh, really?
So it was definitely in that tradition of Gremlins, and I loved it without giving away too much already.
I definitely enjoyed Acts 1 and 2 better than the payoff in Act 3, which we'll get to. Act 1 is they set up all the crazy familyness and all the stress.
Did you ever spend any time on the field, Tommy?
No, actually, I didn't have time in my younger years. I was in training mostly.
What were you training for? Army? Marines?
So, Eagle Scouts.
Eagle Scouts. Now, Eagle Scouts, kids, that's where you weave baskets and help little old ladies across the street. Am I right?
No. No. It was actually quite...
They were so annoying that I just found myself looking forward to when Krampus is going to come. They were horrible, horrible people. The kinds of kids that go into your room and take your stuff and find your diary and start reading it out loud.
Right. Yeah. Totally annoying.
And then in the middle of the movie, that's when the horror starts to kick in. Do you want to just talk about a couple of your favorites?
At one point in the film, Krampus, they don't show you that it's Krampus, but this bag of velvet wrapped toys shows up and they bring the bag inside. Well, those toys get brought to the attic and then some in the kitchen, and they basically escape and come to life. And so it's the battle of those toys, twisted toys coming to life. And you've got the creepy clown slug creature. You've got this Japanese mech robot. And I don't even know what this toy was. It was like some crazy evil bird. And Tom, Sarah, and Linda go to the attic to find out what happened to the two girls who had wandered up there. And the toys come to life. And it's this epic battle fighting with those various toys come to life, which was just really fun and entertaining. Howard is in the kitchen being assaulted by these gingerbread men who come to life, which those were my favorite in the film. Very Gremlins vibe, like you're saying, the voices or Minions, like so funny. And they're basically trying to take him out with a pneumatic nail gun that they pinned him to the floor. Yes. So fun, like all that. And some great one-liners out of that one too.
Did you write any down?
Uncle Howard, he says,
So what are we dealing with? What'd you see up there?
You don't want to know, sweetheart.
Honey, I just got my ass kicked by a bunch of Christmas cookies, so trust me when I say I can take it.
Yes, I love that. I keep this running list of what clips should we drop in, and it was hard to decide in this movie because there were so many great
good
lines.
And
But
like
that
classic
had to be my
80s.
favorite. Yes, absolutely.
So what do you got?
It may have also been my favorite scene of the brother-in-law fighting these gingerbread cookies. He's shooting them with a shotgun. And the gingerbread cookies, they have this kind of funny little creepy laugh. And because they're little, like gremlins, they keep running around and getting into stuff and just being a nuisance.
We should have gone to my brother's.
But then they're also dangerous. And so one of them is threatening the brother-in-law with a sharpened candy cane. And so if you've ever like sucked on the ends of one of the candy canes, you know that they can
real
become
danger.
razor sharp. Yes.
Real danger.
So
yeah.
when that little gingerbread guy comes running at him, you definitely think he's going to get stabbed to death. But instead what happens is his dog saves the day and jumps up and eats the little gingerbread guy. And so you get both the horror and the humor of that cute little dog, that bulldog, just eating that little gingerbread man. That was great. I love that.
That was fun.
And then parts of it were genuinely scary. I thought the movie did a really good job of not overusing Krampus. Krampus lets his little minions, those evil toys, and the elves do a lot of the legwork for him. Which that's just good management. You can't do doing all of the mayhem and murdering yourself. But then when they bring Krampus in, it has a bigger impact because you don't see him very often. And that mask is fantastic.
Yeah, that was amazing. And the mask is essentially this demon has donned the guise of Santa Claus. So it's this.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, why is his mouth not moving? But when you look in there, there was another demon mouth further in. So he's just wearing the skin of this old man, but it's actually this demon. It was such a cool character, and the way they brought it to life, his creepy hands, the chains, the bells, all of the dark elves, very creative, and kudos to Weta. They really did a great job on character design.
Yeah, that Krampus, I just love the design of it because it does look like evil version of Santa Claus, right? He's wearing black instead of red, but it's still fur-lined and still has that hood that Santa has, and the jingling of these chains around him reminds me a little bit of The Ghost in A Christmas Carol with the jangling chains. So, God, that Krampus monster is great. Okay, so is there any other scene you want to talk about? Because I want to move on to Act 3 because that's where my complaints are.
Yeah. When they're all gathered around, and it's almost towards the end where Max is confronting Krampus and being like, take me instead. They've got that demented sleigh. It's lit by the fires, and all of the dark elves are gathered around. It's got this really kind of chaotic, demonic festival vibe going on. I thought that was really well done, just visually, a ton of eye candy.
I felt like the setup and then the middle part with the monsters was great. And to me, it felt like they didn't quite know how they wanted to end it. Whereas I think what made Gremlins such a classic is that it stuck the landing and had a great ending.
Yeah.
In this movie, what happens is slowly each character gets taken out one by one. And it's a PG-13 movie, which I also kind of liked because it is a horror movie that I thought is a good, if you're 13 years old watching this, it's genuinely scary at times, like Gremlins is. But it's not gruesome or just overwhelmingly dark or horrifying. It's just creepy. And it has good horror as well as good jokes. But in that last act where each parent, each kid is being taken out one by one, and finally it's down to just Max. He's the only one left alive. And he confronts Krampus and says, I take it all back.
Please. I know you can fix this. Give them back. Take me instead.
And then you find out it was all a dream. Max wakes up on Christmas Day and the whole family's back together and everything is warm. And just like A Christmas Carol, Max learned his lesson and he learned the joy of Christmas. Do you have any problem with it? Did that seem confusing to you? Or
I don't think it bothered me the way that it bothered you. When Max is confronting Krampus, he sheds that tear, and clearly it's sort of a reset, and Krampus is like, all right, well, we'll spare them this time. If he's this evil demon, why is he changing his tune? So maybe there's a question mark there. But I almost would have preferred if they closed it out without that. It's almost everybody's having this moment of wait, now they're all remembering what actually happened. They could have just left it with him getting the bell and being like, did that happen? And just close it there. But instead it was it made it a little fuzzy in that last scene where you're like, why did they do that?
Yeah. And so that I felt like, that's why I said, like, I just feel like it has Act 3 problems, where the fact that, like, everyone's being taken away one at a time, and that Max kind of fails to save everybody, but then it's all a dream, but then it's not a dream. I feel like it just leaves on a note of, I don't really understand exactly what's happening here. And so to me, it just didn't stick the landing. Like we said, I love that opening scene, and I loved how it started, and I loved all the little crazy monsters, but I felt like, gosh, when they were wrapping it up, they didn't have as good an idea to finish the story as they did to set up the story.
I think that's a fair criticism, although it didn't bother me as much as it bothered you. I enjoyed this one. Full package.
But the other thing in the movie that kept taking me out of it was, so Adam Scott and Toni Collette, they're the main character, mother and father. Their daughter leaves to go see her boyfriend, and then she doesn't come back, and the electricity's out and phones are out. Adam and his brother-in-law go to save her, but they can't find her, and so they're kind of running around. And then at a certain point, Adam Scott and his brother-in-law go back into the house, and they decide they're going to look for his daughter again when the storm passes. And it makes you and I both have daughters. I was watching the movie going, I just don't see myself going, you know what? My daughter is out there. Possibly there's a crazy monster on the loose. I'm just going to wait an hour or two till the storm blows over. I'll go look for her after that. It doesn't reflect well on him as a dad. And I felt like that really undermined. Like I said at the beginning, I think it's a great actor and has great dad energy, but I didn't buy at all that he would just give up looking for his daughter. Kim and I were watching the movie going, no one's going to go after this daughter. They're just going to leave her out there. It doesn't even make any sense in the context of the movie.
Yeah, that Jen watched it with me also, and she was like, the mom does not seem concerned at all. Yes. What's happening? So there's definitely judgment on their parenting style of letting their daughter hang out with demons from folklore while they're comfy by the fire inside. She'll be fine.
Yeah. It's hilarious to me that both of us and our wives are watching it going, that's not good parenting. I'm not buying that. And the movie had set up that they were pretty good parents, so it's not like they were completely incompetent. So anything else to say about this movie? You ready to give it your score?
Yeah, let's do stabby scores. So this one, like we were saying, hadn't seen before. We're breaking the rules. We're leaning into a much more recent film for this one. But what I did really love about this is in watching it and then absorbing it and getting a sense of how it was made, the one-liners, the practical creature effects. It is, to me, a very 80s film brought into a more modern era, and it's all the stuff we loved about Gremlins shows up in this movie. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super fun. I thought it was well acted, well directed, incredible creature effects, generally funny, and in that campy horror space, which is so fun. They could have made this a lot gorier and a much darker film. They didn't do that. So it's something you can watch with your family around the holidays. I think this is going to be in rotation going forward for future Christmases. So I'm delivering a rating of 4 stabs to this film.
Nice. I was watching the movie thinking while watching it, this is a 4-stabby movie. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. And then in that last act, it just started to lose steam for me. I took off a stabby because I felt like Krampus just didn't stick the landing, and so it ended up being a 3-stabby movie for me.
I think that's a fair assessment, Shanny. Great points. I appreciate you bringing more of a critical and academic perspective. I'm just a sucker for cute creatures and great creature effects of one-liners. Like I got sold, and I was overlooking some of the flaws that you've pointed out, and I think some other critics have also flagged as some lost potential on this one.
Now, I did notice there's sequels to this movie. There's Krampus 2 and 3. I haven't seen any of them.
So I don't know that they're actually sequels of this film. So quickly, on the backside of this film, it was kind of like Gremlins, where they piled on all these other creature movies that they couldn't call Gremlins. They piled all these Krampus films on the backside of this. So by this director, Michael Dougherty, this is the only one he's made. There is talk of Krampus 2. That would be more of a true sequel by him and this team. But if you look it up, there are probably a dozen Krampus movies, and 3 or 4 kind of happened right after this film, or one was even before. But there's a whole spate of them. But this is the bigger budget, more successful, most Hollywood version of Krampus.
Nice. I appreciate you doing the journalism there. So
Yep.
thank you for listening to SlashBack Cinema. We hope you enjoyed the fact that we broke format a little bit. If you like this movie or did like this movie, if you want to recommend other Krampus movies, come join us on socials. Where can they find us?
TikTok, Instagram, SlashBackCinema.com. You can also send us a text. We mentioned that before, but it's right there in the podcast description. Just click on it. It goes right to your phone. Tell us if you loved it, you hated it, or if you got some random thoughts. Send us a note. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Till next time.